Good morning, everyone. Nice to see the audience joining the webinar. Welcome to this webinar organized by Crodion and Nproof. Glad to see you're all joining the room. I have our guest speaker today, Anne Beazar. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi. So let's get started. I'm going to start the webinar with a short introduction about Crodion and the technology that we've built, how it can be used for sustainability purposes. And then Anne will take over and present the analyzer platform. And I will finish with 5 minutes of customer cases, and then we have 15 minutes of Q&A. Time is money, so I will try to stick to the 30 minutes of speaking time. Let's go. Crodion was founded in 2015. We are an electronics manufacturer based in Ghent, Belgium. We have over 300 customers in 10 countries, raised 2 funding rounds up to today. And we are a team of 6. We are specialized in hardware and software for the Internet of Things. Our solutions are mainly focused around smart water, smart weather, and smart indoor climate. Energy consumption is also something that we like to measure. More about this in a second. So everyone's talking about data, about measuring energy consumption in water, measuring algorithms, using AI to optimize sustainability. But very often, it doesn't make sense to talk about this because sometimes there is no data. And this step is very often overlooked. If there is no sensor data, if you don't have easy access to data, then it doesn't make sense to talk about the next step. And we noticed that for many projects, small projects, but also projects with a large versatility, it is the case that the cost of overhead and manual work to get the sensor data connected is very often too high and killing promising projects. So the purpose of Crodion is to make data access accessible and to make it affordable to start having data. Once the data is there, that's where Anne comes in and the analyzer platform. But the purpose of Crodion is mainly to make sensor data collection accessible and affordable. How do we do this? By keeping it simple. We standardized the entire process of connecting sensors to the cloud. We do this with one single sensor device called Reporter, and we claim that 90% of all sensors on the market can be connected to this one same device. The Reporter is easy to use, is therefore easy to understand, and is also easy to buy. And this is how we make the entire process of connecting high quality sensors affordable. What what do we sell along with Reporter? Of course, we can sell high quality sensors like flow meters, energy meters, temperature sensors, pressure sensors, and so on. And we also have the Crodion Cloud, which is a simple platform to view the sensor data live coming in. You have the Excel export, but more important, there's a REST API to connect our cloud to third-party cloud platforms such as Analyzer or Power BI or Grafana or any cloud platform that you like to use yourself. So the task of Crodion is to get sensor data into the cloud in a reliable and standardized way. That's how we make it affordable. And everything that you do with this data is the job of our partners, of which I will explain a bit more in a few slides. One important component that I'd like to introduce, how we can connect 90% of the sensors on the market to one and the same reporter, is by converting the sensor signal in the connector. So every sensor on the market is available with cable end output. We add our sensor adapter, and that's how we make all sensors compatible with Reporter. That's the way we standardize, the technical way we standardize and connect all these sensors to one and the same device. I'm not going to dive too deep into these technical elements. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat. And of course, we can have a technical discussion afterwards. But just keep in mind, almost any sensor on the market is compatible with Reporter, and that's because of this innovative sensor adapter. So what are some use cases that we can help you with? Imagine a factory that has 20, 30, 50 or 100 flow meters. These are good flow meters. They've been around for quite a while. They have a pulse output, but they are not connected to the cloud. So we will be glad to help you connect your legacy flow meters to show you live and online what your water consumption is like. One reporter can connect up to 4 sensors, and every sensor can have up to 30 meters of cable length. Another hot topic in sustainability is energy meters, of course. So if you have energy meters or if you don't have any, we can connect pretty much any kind of energy meter from the famous brands to one and the same reporter. This can be direct measurements or indirect measurements. Usually when it's temporary, you have the indirect measuring. If it's permanent and you have a direct meter installed. If they have a Modbus output or a Pulse output, we will probably be able to connect them to Reporter. A final kind of parameters that I like to introduce is water quality. So measuring pH, conductivity, ORP, suspended solids, or any other kind of chemical sensors is things that we like to do. We connect sensors from high quality manufacturers always to the same reporter. And this way we are building an ecosystem of complementary partners. We want your project to have the right sensor for the right application. You don't want to buy a sensor because it's the only one that's compatible with your logger. No, you have to have the right sensor for the right application. And just the same way that we are building an ecosystem of complementary hardware partners, on the cloud side, we are open with the Crodion API, and we are always eager to build this ecosystem of cloud partners as well. Nproof is there on the right side. So Analyzer is one of the platforms that we like to integrate with, but there's so many cloud platforms for other applications as well. And Crodion is, we know very well what we do at Crodion. We make sensor data accessible and available in the cloud, but we are not the company that will help you crunch this data and use added value features to make to use the data actually. So that's not what we do. For this part, we rely on partners always. And this is a great moment to introduce Anne. Anne, I'm going to give you the stage. Good luck.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm here as on behalf of the data cruncher part, but more specifically, just to talk about the importance of energy data in industry. And as you've heard Jonathan mention, I'll be talking about our platform Analyzer that is used by several industrial companies. And so my name is Anne Beazar. I'm the founder and CEO of Nproof. We started in 2010. And our first activity actually was providing energy advice. So doing energy audits, trainings, ETS reporting, and so on. But in another branch of the company, we developed the Analyzer software, and this software is used for improving the energy efficiency, for doing reporting on energy and CO2. So I'll dig into this deeper in the coming slides. But I also really wanted to add some context about the importance of the energy management in industry, because we've been around since 2010, and we see a huge difference in the market. Like 10 years ago, not many companies were busy collecting data, interpreting data, especially not on the energy level. While today, certainly in Europe, it has completely changed. So I will also bring a little bit of this context. So let me start maybe with the statement of the International Energy Agency last year. So they expect what they call really a new industrial era. They call it the clean energy technology manufacturing industrial age. It's a whole mouthful. But just in short, what they expect is the market for clean energy, for green innovations, to triple, or even like if you look at the electric vehicles, they predict times 15 raise, heat pumps times 6, already a lot by 2030, and especially by 2050. So this means in like the essence of all this is electricity demand will rise a lot, and we have to make sure our infrastructure is ready for this, and certainly also our demand is adapted to this rising demand. To this raising predictions, let's say. So with the Green Deal, Europe wants to manage and push this green transition and make sure that everybody is ready for this. So this Green Deal led to a lot of companies setting ESG goals. But what do we already see is that many of those companies, they miss their goals already now. And the main reason why they don't have this under control is because they lack good data measurement. And if you look at how are we going to decarbonize, the main way they want to do it is by improving energy efficiency. And there as well, there is no automatic data collection. And if you don't have this, it's becoming very hard to find a lot of operational improvements. So this is what I want to talk about. Because if this is not happening, S&P predicts there will be lots of supplementary costs for the industry, for large buildings, that go along with not having the energy consumption, CO2 emission under control. So first of all, we don't start from nothing. So lots of companies already have some data. They also, in many cases, have some meters. They're not always connected. So, but this is an image that is in many times very recognizable. There is information, but it's not structured. It does not lead to the right insights immediately. So why do you need the data? It's because, first of all, you want to be able to find the right actions to improve. And second, you want to to have a certain reporting internally, externally, so you know what's going on. And you can also report to Europe, to other. Oh, I'm sorry, I want to go this way. So you see some examples. You want to do your automated internal reporting. Maybe you have some sustainability standards that you want to follow. So, and for the actions, you want to find the savings, you want to do predictive maintenance, you want to use data for an energy roadmap or a carbon roadmap. Once you have this info, you can start implementing, you can start gathering everything to be legal compliant. And on the left side, of course, before you get to these actions and these reports, you need data collection. And there, the system of Crodeon comes in very handy because, as I said, in many cases, there are already meters. So it's very easy to collect them and to send them to a single database. So if you have this data, this raw data, there is still this step of this analyzing, the data crunching, as Jonathan called it, and the insights. And this is really what we do with the Analyzer platform. And just to break it down in some smaller steps, because it might seem a bit overwhelming for many companies, because in the end, you would need lots of data from different meters, from different sources. So what do we see in reality? I created 3 columns here. Like the left one is typically a company with a quite low energy consumption. In the middle, there's this medium company, and you should think about a couple of 100,000 euros a year of energy consumption, and energy intensive companies are those who spend 1 million, 2 million and more to the energy bill. So what they all start with is typically they use the data of their invoices, they put it into Excel, they do some simple benchmarking like how did we do last year, how are we doing now, and they start from there. The first automation step typically is linking the main meters to a database for which the Crodeon hardware and connector is the ideal solution. And you get this 15 minutes data, or even on a more frequent basis, and you can start having more details. So for the small companies, many times it ends there. But the larger ones, they also go into sub-meter level and even to the machine level for the largest ones. And so this means if you have a cooling machine, you might want to know the temperatures and the flow and certain pressures on the system. Same for steam or for compressed air and so on. You even might want to have a model on this machine that will tell you how much consumption is expected of the machine at a certain point. So these are all goals of the data that you collect. So really putting on some intelligence in there, so you can really detect the losses of energy or of water, for instance. You can also do an anomaly detection if you have high frequency data. This is for all types of companies the case. We also see more and more the need of data for procurement. So companies get better deals with their energy supplier if they can predict their energy consumption. So there's no way you can predict it if you don't have some data you can rely on, even some sub-meters and so on. And the last point is many industrial companies want to know their consumption or their CO2 per production unit. So this is also some data that is collected, that is used in the reporting. So it's kind of, the bigger you are, the more you will be investing in getting data, in putting extra meters, in getting extra intelligence and models on the data. If you're a real small company, you don't go that far. So ideally, if you look on an industrial level, you want to know on machine levels what's going on, what are the actions that we should do, like can we see on pressure level that the filter should be changed or other things. And for this, we would typically make a meter plan. And it's basically a list where you look at which are the KPIs that we want to follow up. Like for cooling, you want to know the COP, the coefficients of performance. For compressed air, you want to know about the consumption per cube meter of air, for instance. So you make a list of these are the meters that we need, which ones do we have to add, and then you look at how are we going to connect these meters, and then use it in the software. So you also don't want a total consumption. It doesn't say much if you have doubled your production last year. Of course, your energy consumption will also almost double probably. So you rather look at your consumption per a certain driver. So typically production volumes, how much do we consume per unit or per 10,000 units of production? How much do we consume per square meter for a building? If it's really hard to have a driver, you can even relate it to your revenue. So it's a better way of comparing if you're doing better or worse than before. Just an absolute consumption value is not very useful then. Also for heating, if you look at a specific driver for heating applications, you would want to relate it to degree days. For photovoltaic solar installation, you might want to relate it to how much solar radiation have we got. So this follow-up on other than just what is the energy consumption, so other parameters than only the consumption is very important. It's also something we do in the analyzer software. So you want to visualize the data, you want to put it into dashboards, you want to see specific KPIs, you want to put alarms on the KPIs, on the consumption. We also, with Analyzer, have this module where you can keep track of all the improvement ideas and keep track of how much will they cost, what will be the return in savings, what will be the return in CO2 reduction. So just to keep this global view on all the investments you can do to improve on CO2 emission and improve on energy efficiency. With the software, you can also calculate the carbon footprint. And this, for me, is like a good bridge to, so I've been talking about this operational goal of the data. And so if you remember, there is also this reporting goal, and like carbon footprint is one of the things that is asked to report more and more. And it's also something that is for Europe on the list of things that will have to be reported. And so if we talk about official reporting, we look at Europe and what they oblige companies to do. And you see, like I've put just to give an idea of the Green Deal initiatives, there are lots and lots of initiatives, and many of them have a direct impact on industry. And if you look at just why do we need the data and the reporting for, then I get to two main points of reporting. One is the CSRD, and the other one on top of the slide is the fact that in the updated version of the Energy Efficiency Directive last year, there is stated that the energy intensive companies, so meaning with an average annual energy consumption of more than 85 terajoule, they have to implement an energy management system, and it should be certified by an independent body. So there will be an obligation of installing this energy management systems for the large companies, and it will be an obligation starting from 2027. So in 3 years, this will be a legislation. If you look at the CSRD legislation more in detail, there are like 12 topics companies will have to report on. It's not the goal here to go in detail, but I do want to just give an idea of the width of what they're asking to report on. So there's I've taken 4 topics that are relevant, that are linked to energy efficiency and to carbon reporting. And you can see it's just a lot of things that Europe will be asking to report from companies, going from energy efficiency, what part of the consumption is from non-renewable sources, from renewable sources, what scope 1, 2, and 3 greenhouse gas emission, and so on and so on. So, and it will have to happen quite fast. So companies subject to NFRD will have to report already next year about their numbers of this year. And then there's this timeline by 27, like most of the companies will have to report in Europe, and in 29, also the non-European companies will have to join in this CSRD reporting. So just to summarize all this, there is like a very strong push from legislation in Europe to start capturing, handling data. And if you want to get the maximum out of it, you also want this operational touch with it to add this intelligence to save data. So, and this is what we really want to combine in our software, in the analyzer. So it's really a real-time software where you not only get the data for reporting purposes, but where you can also use alarms and dashboards and this actions module to find savings, to check if the savings really do produce the desired results, and so on. So it's very open, and really the difficulty for many companies is getting the data in a centralized way in this type of software, and this is really where we want work together with Crodeon to get this data in a very structured way and in a very simple way. It's not very complicated for companies to put it there, to gather the data, to link to the different types of meters. So that's what we like about it, and that's why we like to work together with them. So I want to thank you for your attention, and I will be happy as well to answer questions later.
Yes, thank you, Anne. In the meantime, feel free to ask your questions in the chat on the bottom right. I have 5 more minutes for a few slides. So thank you, Anne, for mentioning us. Indeed, our mission is to enable this data collection, to enable companies of all sizes to start making use of data. Keep it simple is how we do it. We have 3 laws to keep everything simple as much as possible. When you work with Crodeon, there's only one reporter to choose from, so that's a very easy start. Every sensor on the market connects to every port on the reporter, so there's 4 ports for sensors. The 5th one is for power. Every sensor fits every port. And the 3rd law is that we always connect to our cloud first. I know for some companies this is not ideal, but this is by far the easiest way to get everything up and running. And it's also the most secure way, by the way. I have some customer cases here. Jules de Stroper uses reporters in the plant in Ypres, mainly for temperature registration and power outage detections. For NTT, we did a project in Tour de France where we measured energy consumption in the big data truck, and they also registered weather data live in the VIP data truck that was in the Tour de France caravan. For ATS, which is part of the PSA group, we measured energy consumption and wind speed in the port of Antwerp. Stad Roeselare, weather conditions because they had a problem with a bad smell in the neighborhood. Royal Latham Golf Club, they were asked by the Flemish government to start reporting their water consumption and also register the impact of this water consumption for irrigation on the groundwater level. And they did so, and they could prove with this data that they were allowed to use as much water as they needed because they are close to the river, so there's no long-lasting negative impact on the groundwater level. To give you an indication, by the way, this project cost about 2,000 euros of Crodeon hardware in total. So that's 2 sensors, 1 reporter. That's how we make it really, really affordable to start measuring this kind of data. Where in the past this used to be a real project, Crodeon turns this into a simple purchase. Alpro had a leak in the hot water system where they used a reporter to connect existing flow meters in the plant. So no new flow meters were bought, just connecting existing meters. For Aquafin, we measured the water level in water tanks at people's houses, and with a touch on a button in the cloud, they could empty these water tanks when a flood was predicted. Muurtuin, we measured temperature and the isolating effect of a vertical green wall. And PC Freight was about reducing water consumption for irrigation of blueberries. Read more about this on our website. And finally, for Bridgestone, we had an impressive energy reduction because we measured the outside air temperature, the wet bulb temperature, and we could reduce the required need of having the chiller activated in the plant in Limburg. Oh, and we also measure the groundwater level for regulatory purposes. Some more customer logos. Crodeon was founded initially in the agriculture sector. We started working for very small companies, but as you see by now, we've had quite a few big names as well. and it proves that big companies as well have many small and diversified projects where they need just a few sensors installed, and it doesn't always have to cost a lot. So here's my contact information, and thanks again for your attention, and let's see if there's any questions coming in for now. No questions yet. Please go ahead and ask your questions if there are any. Anna, I have a question for you. Can you give a recommendation of how people can get started as easily as possible? What is the lowest effort that they can do to get started with your platform?
The lowest effort, if you immediately want to get insights in your data, would be getting the main meter data. I'm talking about electricity and gas in any case. In many cases, also water consumption is useful. And so just linking these meters to Unlogger and sending over the data to a database. And for me, like the Crodeon in this case would be what we recommend, because it's very reliable. You don't set up like local wireless networks that might not be reliable and so on. So just starting with main meters, get them through the hardware, and if you can also get the data from your distribution net operator, for instance, but not all distribution net operators provide the data, and often they're too late. So just linking these 3 meters and getting started on a 15 minutes data level or 10 minutes data frequency, and you will already get insights on what are standby losses, for instance. Why do we have this consumption on Sunday nights? What is it coming from? And you can also use it for benchmarking purposes to know. You can see and you can derive a lot from your detailed profile. You can see if you have water leaks in this type of data. So it's already useful to find savings and to get started. And then you can bit by bit like add other meters, other data, and improve your insights.
Okay. Wonderful. I will give the same answer about Crodeon. If you want to get started as easily as possible, the most simple way that we can help you is by offering, I would say, this kit. It's also one that we've proposed to improve quite a few times. It's the simplest way to start measuring energy at some place in your plant today. So you have one kit which contains a reporter and one energy meter. It doesn't require any complex infrastructure works. It's clamp on and you can start measuring really fast. This kit is about 1,200 euros, I think. So we cannot make it any more affordable and accessible to start measuring. If you're talking about flow meters, it's even more affordable because you just need a reporter and one of our adapters to read one of your existing flow meters and visualize the water consumption in the cloud. So that's by far the easiest way we can help you get started as fast as possible. And then I have one more question for you, which came in before we started the webinar. Someone wanted to know if there was going to be a live demo of the platform, of the Analyzer platform, during the webinar. I was not sure if you were going to provide one, but you didn't. So how can we get this?
Yes, so you can get a demo. Like we like to, like for the large companies, we like to hear what they need. So we provide a demo to them so they can reach out to me and send me an email to get the demo. Or they can also go through our website, the Analyzer website, analyzer.com, and book a demo there. So whatever is most easy to book it.
Okay, there's no video on YouTube or something, or something that you have already published?
We have had a recording of a webinar. I think for now the best way to get a demo is just reaching out to us, and we'll provide you with the information, and we can do a demo that is really let's say matches your needs. If you want to, like for instance, if you want to focus on carbon footprinting, then we can elaborate in the demo on how to use the software for carbon footprinting. If you want to really focus on having a lot of dashboards, for instance, really specific on energy consumption or follow up on certain specific machines, then this would get more attention. So as we are working mainly for these industrial companies that use it in many ways, and where it's where the functionality is really important, we like to take some time and dig a little bit deeper depending on the specific requests.
Okay. One more question I had: the CSRD reporting, is this actually a law? Is it required, or is it a recommendation?
No, it will be an obligation. So the different countries will have to turn this into specific, make it very concrete. So no, it's not a voluntary agreement. It's many companies are stressing out for the moment, let's say, because it's becoming very close, and it's not yet 100% clear what will have to be reported and what not. So many people, especially like the Big Four and other consultancy companies, also we are following very closely the progression in the legislation, so we know so that we know how to advise our customers.
Okay, so a clear message to everyone in the audience: this is not just nice to have; it's important.
A must have. Indeed, yeah. And it might be easy to just focus on the reporting and have lots of manual inputs and just have spit out a nice report, but then you're missing out on so many insights on how you can improve, how you can save money. I think energy and water are like in the whole sustainability topics are the ones where you can save money when you work on it. So it's very important to have these automated meter readings and to have these sub-meters and to get insights. So you also have you become greener and more sustainable, and at the same time you can save money. So this is a very good goal for many companies.
It's a no-brainer, actually.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I think we can wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. Recording of the webinar will, of course, be emailed to you all, and we will also put it on YouTube. So feel free to forward this to other people in your network and reach out to us if you have any questions.
Thank you, Jonathan, for organizing this.
You're welcome, Anne. See you next time. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.